Hi, gang, it's Hexy. Welcome back. Let's wrap up the Battle of Fismes, the hypothetical battle that never took place, out of the Napoleon Retreats box. And this is my first go round with the library of Napoleonic games, and I enjoyed the daylights out of this, so I'm gonna have to dig into some more of these games. So I wasn't using any cards, although I realize now I have cards in the Coming Storm box. So I'm gonna have to dig them out when I play Coming Storm and see how those cards work. So this was Napoleon trying to catch Blucher with the Prussians and the Russians while they were conducting a river crossing, which I'm still not sure about whether they were leaving the battlefield or coming into the battlefield, but he was trying to catch and destroy as much of the Prussians and Russians as he could, from what I can gather about reading the scenario. And he pushed. He didn't have, an overabundance of force, and the terrain around the town of Fismes is it's marshy with a stream, and there's some hills and woods in there, and of course artillery with woods and stuff like that. You can't shoot into it, so you can't shoot out of it either. But he did push. They did finally break across the stream up here in Crugny and here at Courville, and at Saint-Gilles. They got across. Don't you love my French or whatever language that is? And the coalition could not call a general retreat until at least the 4 p.m. turn. And I waited, I think, a full turn after that, because the coalition was actually doing a good job holding Napoleon up. So had this thing had a couple more daylight turns in it, this could have turned into a nightmare for the Prussians and the Russians, but it didn't. York, who never got engaged, he's sitting off the map over here, his entire corps, which is, I think it's the first corps, they were able to get back off the map, okay? And there were casualties. There's nobody reached demoralization because there was only 2 units over there on the demoralization chart, and the units that are in the potential recovery box, since it's only 1 day of battle, they had no chance to go into the actual reorganized box. So they pretty much become, I guess, casualties for victory points. So, but the cavalry, Grouchy and Nansou, they were all getting ready to move in here. Like I say, another turn or two, and they could have maybe enveloped a lot of this stuff. Ney did attack across the stream in the marsh here and push the Russians back. And we were going to go here. Or, I'm sorry, Marmont got across here after an attack and pushed some Russians back. So they were making some hay here, and they were probably going to cut this off. But the game ended. So let's talk about how this ended up. Well, the French lost in the count 11 strength points, and the coalition lost 19. So there's an 8-point value that goes to the French. So they're already up right there. So if it ended right there, the 8-point value would give them 1 victory point. Okay, so they got 1 victory point. Then they took out a train. They captured a train, belonged to the Second Corps right here. They captured that. So that gave them 2 points there. So they had 3 victory points. All right. The coalition, with the 19 strength points they lost, obviously they didn't get any victory points, but they exited. They get 4 victory points for exiting units, even though the stack they exited was about 9 or 10 units. But you can't have more than what's eliminated by the French, which are 3 units. So they would have gotten. So they were able to exit. So of all those units that exit, only 3 would count if I read that rule right. So they would have got 3 for that, and then they got 3 for. What do I got here? I'm sorry. They got 4 points for exiting a train, which is the first course train, baggage train, and they got 3 points for exiting units, so that's 7. So the difference was 7 for the coalition and 3 for the French, which you gotta love the victory point thing on this, because a lot of games you play off, if you're 37 more than the opponent, you win this kind of victory. Well, this thing goes from 1 to 2, and then 1.5 down. So if the coalition 1 to 2 or less, and it's a coalition strategic victory. Well, this would have been 4 for them, 7 to 3. So, if I did all that right, it's a major victory for the coalition. Just the fact that they were able to exit First Corps. Now, the thing, this could have been a different story had the French had a pontoon, because all of these bridges, except for the one in Fismes, are considered destroyed according to the scenario rules, okay? And the coalition, they had a pontoon train, which they never had to use. So this is one of those games that you probably, I say with the French, and I'm sure it was intended to be that way, completely aggressive, attack as hard as you can. Of course, you got to get people into command, and when Napoleon is sitting over here, and Ney is sitting over here, and everybody's spread across this marshy area here, you got to get some good die rolls. Now, fortunately for the French, their cavalry leaders have great initiative ratings. So, whereas the Russians and the coalition necessarily didn't. And of course, Blucher, he was back here, and then he has Sacken. Now, Sacken is a 1, so he's a commander officer, so he uses his 1 point to activate his force. Well, he didn't have a particular force, so whichever Russian corps he was sitting on, that's the one that got activated. And then he could do 1 stack. Blucher he had 2, and then so he could do 2 formations and then 1 stack or 1 unit, okay? Or for each point he could. So he could do two additional stacks or 2 additional units, depending on what was there. 6th Corps was pretty much all the units that were eliminated on the Prussians, for the Prussians. I don't know if any Russian units got totally knocked out or not, but there were minor step losses in the game. Okay, so my first go around with this system, my only experience with anything close to this would have been Napoleon's Last Battles, the SPI and the TSR version, which I loved those games. I've got both of them, haven't played them in years, but I loved them. This is a drastic improvement from that system to this system. So I have a couple more of these. I have, like I say, the Coming Storm, which I'm sure I'm going to get into playing that. And I think I have something in a baggie over here I need to dig out of my milk cartons and see what else I got in there. But I got a feeling I'm going to have to start looking for these things. So there you have it, the Battle of Fismes, Coalition, Strategic Victory. If you can, the things I think I need help with are tracking demoralization with units that are UAR or PEU and whatever. And the other thing I think I need with is command's pretty good, easy to deal with. So demoralization. Oh, shoot, there was one other item that I think I might need a little help with. Maybe it was the victory conditions, I don't know, and how that works. So, but there you have it, Battle Theme, Coalition, Strategic Victory. This is OSG. This is Kevin Zucker's Library of Napoleonic Games, or Napoleonic Battles. And we're going to play some more of these things, but I got some other stuff coming up right now that you'll see on the table here shortly. And we'll get back to this because I want to keep going with the system so that I don't forget what I've learned, because I really enjoy it. All right, let's get this posted. We'll talk to y'all soon.